Well, guys, we've officially decided to sell the house so that we can buy the dip on ISO 20022 compliant cryptocurrencies, believing that they're going to enable the future financial system. In fact, the very evolution of money is going to take place on these cryptocurrencies. Of course, the former half of that was a joke. I haven't sold my house to buy crypto. We're just out and about, so we thought we'd do a video that we meant to do last week covering what Rothschilds, we're all familiar with the Rothschilds, they're the guys that are behind the central banking system that we currently have today. We don't need to go into that. I'm sure many of you are aware. If you're not, become aware because it is important. But the Rothschild and Co. asset management company essentially released a report just the other day, and it's titled Blockchain Large-Scale Adoption Accelerated by Supportive Regulatory Momentum. Now, this report was published on the 22nd of March 2025, so at the back end of last month. And on a day like today that we're having in the cryptocurrency space, and what's happening with crypto has nothing to do with crypto, but everything to do with, of course, Trump's proposed tariffs. There's two routes ahead for that, really. There's either a literal implementation of tariffs as they've been set out and a potential escalation, or there's the view that I've taken, which is the fact that, or the view, it's not a fact yet, that tariffs may actually result, ironically, in lower tariffs across the board as negotiations are opened up. We're yet to see what resolve to all of this there is going to be, but the markets are certainly pricing in the doom and gloom, literal implementation and escalation of tariff scenario, and of course what that means for economies around the world from a revenue point of view and also from an inflationary point of view and a capital point of view. But we're not here to talk about that. If you want a video in more depth on that, we do touch it every single day in our daily market updates. Do let me know. But I want to read this report to you. And it starts off by saying over 50% of Fortune 100 companies are executing a strategy based on blockchain technology. The large-scale adoption of this technology is underway and accelerating. Isn't that just a bullish intro, if ever there was one? This momentum was particularly strong in 2024. Last year was indeed marked by the institutionalization of digital assets, as illustrated by the successful launch of spot Bitcoin ETFs on the US stock market, with notably iShares iBits asset under management quickly exceeding its physical gold equivalent within just a few months, with over 50 billion US dollars raised by the end of 2024. Stablecoins, an essential market infrastructure within the digital asset world, reached over 33 trillion US dollar transaction volume over the past 12 months. Talking about 2024 here. This is more than 2.5 times Visa's transaction volume in 2024 and paves the way for a large-scale asset tokenization. The entire world, every asset in the world is going to be onboarded onto public blockchains or RAN, and the rails of the Internet of Value is going to be blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology. Some of the blockchains and cryptos that we talk about today, like Hedera, XLM, XRP, Chainlink's going to play a massive part in actually sort of bringing all of this together. Let us continue. Regulatory frameworks are becoming increasingly better defined globally, supporting substantial addressable market growth for digital assets. In Europe, the MiCA regulations sets up uniform rules for crypto asset service providers. Hong Kong has expanded digital asset product access to retail clients. The United Arab Emirates states have created a dedicated agency to supervise players in this sector. In the United States, the new administration signals a radical shift in regulatory approach towards these technologies. In the US, concrete measures supporting this industry have already been rolled out and clearly demonstrate this strengthening commitment. The White House, in consultation with major players, recently hosted a summit dedicated to digital assets. A strategic Bitcoin reserve has also been created by presidential executive order. These early actions mark the beginning of a new regulatory era driven by a pro-innovative administration. The SEC has withdrawn lawsuits against emblematic players such as Coinbase, Robinhood, and Gemini. The leadership of key agencies, including the SEC itself, as well as the CFTC, FDIC, and OCC, the controller of currencies. They're all greenlighting stablecoins right now, by the way, guys, has been replaced by experts supportive of blockchain ecosystem development. The appointment of David Sachs, iconic figure in tech ecosystem and a sophisticated investor in the sector, as a special advisor to the White House is part of this overall dynamic. Furthermore, in the coming months, additional measures to support the development and economic prosperity of the industry in the United States are expected, including potential tax incentives. It then goes on to say, US legislative developments are setting the stage for digital asset integration into the global economy. A bipartisan bill on stablecoins is currently being debated in the US Senate, making a critical milestone never reached before. It follows on from the FIT 21 Act on financial modernization. The stakes of such a regulatory framework are substantial for players in the sector. Its implementation will promote innovation, enable the industry to access new markets, and develop products and solutions with immediate applications, namely in payments and capital markets, instant payments, automatic collateral management, tokenization, etc. And there's key players that are leading this industry, and I believe that we're positioned in them. Moreover, a market infrastructure bill defining the digital asset taxonomy is set to be debated shortly. Both legislative efforts are a priority for the Trump administration, which aims for them to be passed before August. This is extremely bullish. Now, I really wanted to get this out today. I meant to do this last week, but today is a perfect day given what we're seeing in the markets. Do not lose sight. I truly have no fears at being a net accumulator of cryptos that I think are going to play a vital role in tomorrow's financial system, in tomorrow's world more broadly. Crypto doesn't just start and stop with finance. It is the evolution of money. I don't mean the cryptos are going to be money specifically, but they're going to enable the next evolution of money. The entire world is going to be tokenized. Knowledge itself, there's a huge social and leveling up of not just finance, but the internet and the digital world, period, with this technology, enabling of IoT, etc., etc. Let us continue to read on, and let's tackle corporate adoption. So corporate adoption is accelerating, led by the financial sector. Many companies have announced advancements in their digital asset strategies. Some, which had previously remained on the sidelines, now declare they are considering integrating them within corporate treasury or developing new products and services offerings. Citadel, for instance, recently announced evaluating its role as a market maker for digital asset trading. Others are accelerating product development using blockchain technologies across new verticals, such as Robinhood or BlackRock, in the fields of asset tokenization. The repeal of restrictive accounting rules such as SARB 121 in the United States marks the banking sector reopening to actors from the digital asset ecosystem. It significantly expands their addressable market by allowing banks to incorporate this type of asset into their balance sheet without excessively impacting capital ratios. Moreover, the OCC confirmed in an official bulletin on March the 7th, 2025, that banks can effectively legally offer digital asset custody services, leveraging distributed ledger technology, and use stablecoins. This progress further institutionalizes this asset class. Integration by regulated entities and structural unlocks a substantial market for companies driving their development, in particular specialized fintech firms. Remember, this is a report from the Rothschild and Co. Asset Management, and they're very much highlighting the accelerated adoption of the cryptocurrency space. Let's continue. Conditions are increasingly conducive for the investment theme. And it goes on to say, as a conclusion, we are convinced of the considerable growth potential of the digital asset market, anticipating an unprecedented network effect that will benefit companies in the sector. This context will revitalize innovation and activity both in industrial terms and in capital markets, with several major IPOs expected to take place this year. We've had Circle already essentially go ahead and IPO or announce their IPO. Ripple will be another one. There'll be many more to follow. In the short term, regulatory clarifications will support the strategic integration of these assets into the financial world. Major things coming, guys. In the medium term, enhancing the legislative framework, particularly around stablecoins, will strengthen institutional backing for this asset class, protecting both innovators driving this technological revolution, which it is, and their clients from potential regulatory reversals. The institutionalization is expected to enhance the quality of products and services driven by increased competition in a significantly broader market. The players best adapt to these institutional changes will emerge as market consolidators and strengthen their positions in the market. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, was a report from none other than the Rothschild & Co. Asset Management Company. Big financial players out of France and Europe more broadly. This was a great video for me to release because really on a day like today, it's always good to fall back on fundamentally what's happening here with this technology. And there's a duality to it. There's a technological aspect and how it's going to very much innovate and unlock the world as we know it, the digital world as we know it, far more broadly than just financially. And then there's the investment side of things. It's similar to, it is similar but different, perhaps to buying internet companies when the internet first came on the scene, and having that a vision of the enabling abilities that they would have in regards to being the very, I mean, Amazon is the monopoly on e-commerce, essentially. Google is the monopoly on search engines. There's certain cryptos that are going to play a similar role in the world that we're moving towards. I actually think they'll get larger market caps than stocks because they're a different component altogether. You know, you can invest directly in the tokens. So that's really it from me. I just wanted to do a bit of a different video. I meant to get this out last week, but today is a better day than any to do that, certainly given retail sentiment towards the cryptocurrency space. Despite everything going on, I'm still unbelievably bullish on the crypto sector. I don't even think the charts look too bad whatsoever. My concerns are really around the stock market and the Mag 7 companies. And again, in relation to the price action that we're currently seeing, which has nothing to do with what crypto is truly doing, but everything to do with the tariffs, there's two routes ahead. There's a literal implementation, an escalation of tariffs, or there's a dialogue that gets opened, and that actually may result in lower tariffs across the board. I don't think these people are idiots that are in charge. I think they have a broader plan. That's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this different style video. We'll do more of them, kind of riffing with you guys in regards to interesting things that we're finding. And today was all about reviewing the Rothschild & Co. article that was published on the 26th of March, so a couple of weeks ago. And I hope you guys enjoyed it and it gave you a bit more of an insight in regards to what's going on here. That's it from me, guys. Allincrypto out, and I'll see you all on the flip side.